Peace, love, and light, family. Peace, love, and light. And welcome back to Moments with Milah. Welcome back. Thank you so much for taking this moment to spend with me and with Professor Carl Tone Jones. And just thank you for dedicating these next few moments to your overall health and wellness. Now, when we speak on wellness, we often talk about the physicality, right? We talk about exercising, but we know it's not just about the physical part. It's also about the mental and the spiritual as well. And this is just a topic that I wanted to speak on that relates to the wellness in regard to the relationship between the black man and black woman. I would hope everybody else is doing what they're doing, but my concerns with the black man and the black woman, because our relationship is suffering. Okay, our connection and our ability to communicate effectively oftentimes is suffering. I often get calls from sisters or have conversations with sisters, and it's on topics a lot of the times that's, what a black man isn't doing, or I want this type of black man. I'm at this point in my life now, I'm ready for this and I'm ready for that. But the ability to listen to him, to take counsel from him, to take any type of direction from him is like, it's so difficult. It's so difficult. And I was expressing to Carl about how that just how you're putting so much more on yourself spiritually and mentally when you aren't able to open up, and you have this counterpart in your life, your man, the black man, but you're not able to receive from him. You're not able to listen to him. So I have my thoughts on the matter, but I am a woman, and oftentimes we talk to each other and it's almost like it's a reverberation of the same thing. So you're not really getting anywhere. But if you want to know how this man feels, how a man feels, or you're trying to relate better to your man for that improved mental space, then you need to hear it from men. I think that's very important. So I have a question that I would like to pose to my love, and this is regarding basically just why is it that so often we look for relationships, or we say we want to be with a man, but we don't listen to him when he speaks to us. We don't take counsel from him again. So why do you think that is? What is the reason for that, in your opinion?
I think that this is a generational decline in terms of the level of respect that black men have within our community. And I think one of the biggest issues is, for the most part, specifically for the last 30, 40 years, sisters have thought that they're good enough, and basically men have to settle, but men have to settle for whatever their standards are. Mm-hmm. So when you ask a question about, like, for instance, beauty standards, mm-hmm. no man that I know has ever said, I love it when sisters wear those eyelashes. None of them. In fact, every man that I've talked to, every brother that I've ever talked to, hates the eyelashes. Hates them. If there's one aesthetic the sisters have that we hate, it's those eyelashes. But yet you'll still see sisters say, well, you're like when I put them on. You know what I'm saying? And it's a total disregard, for the opinion of her man. And when it comes down to is, and I've heard this on several talk shows recently, and then it's been exhibited lately, is that sisters feel as though they don't have to have standards for us in terms of whether it's a beauty standard, whether it's a physical health standard. They don't feel as though they have to have standards for us, that we should just accept them for who they are. But if it came to them like dating outside of our race and our community, then many of the sisters that I heard respond to that question have also stated that they would change because they would adhere to the standards of those men from other cultures, which speaks to a disdain and disrespect for the men in our culture.
That's heavy. That's a lot. And I honestly, I have to agree. And I have to agree because I hear it. I hear it sometimes, like I said, when I get phone calls and, we're talking about things that are going on. I also have never heard a man say that they love eyelashes. And I'm not bashing him. I know he has a thing where he hates eyelashes, right? But I'm just saying, like, I'm not bashing him. You do what you want. And I hate to even say you do what you want, because I don't want to encourage you to not be yourself. for me, it's hard to listen to sisters say, and I'm still talking about wellness. It's hard for me to listen to sisters say, I love myself, I value myself, when everything you do takes you outside of yourself. You don't look like yourself, you don't walk like yourself, you don't talk like yourself, you don't behave in any way that is like the person that you are when you came here. Of course, we grow and we change, we evolve, that happens, but adding to ourselves, in such a way that it takes away from being a Black woman, and what that means at the essence of that, being a Black woman, that can't be self-love. That's a reflection of hate. And that goes into mental illness. When you're literally trying to reflect something constantly that is not you, sisters, imagine what you're putting on yourself mentally. Imagine the strain that you are spiritually causing yourself when you can't wake up and just be yourself. I heard a conversation that Jim Carrey, I think that's the comedian that was on Living Color. Is that me? Okay, he was having a conversation when he was talking about depression and what depression really is. It's like this avatar, this character that you're trying to be for the world is saying, I can't do it anymore. The pressure, like trying to be something else. That is what depression is, in short. He was a little bit more elaborate than I'm being right now. But if you think about it, sisters, a lot of the reason, well, in my opinion, and I'm speaking from a woman's perspective, I believe that it has to do with a lack of self-love, a lack of self-worth, and insecurity in women. So when you reflect, or when you feel like you're insecure, when you know that you're insecure, it's going to deflect. You're going to treat that man as if you want him to almost be insecure. You want him to be insignificant. You don't want to value what he says. You don't want to respect what he says, because he's not lying to you. He's not feeding into your insecurity. So that definitely heavily weighs on our wellness. Like I said, it's really a mental health thing. When you really think about it, if you wake up every single day and the first thing you can't leave the house without changing your face. You can't leave the house without changing your hair. And I often hear the argument when it comes to wearing wigs. Well, I wear wigs because I suffer from hair loss. But why do you suffer from hair loss? What led to that? I understand alopecia, and I feel like it's an excusable argument. That's an exception. I listened to a brother the other day, Mr. Let It Go. He kind of likened that to a person who has a prosthetic leg. If it's a necessity, it's a necessity. But when it's not a necessity, and you're doing it to not be yourself, you're saying mentally, I'm not well. I don't love myself. You know what I'm saying? So That's what I get from that.
Well, you speak about self-love, and and let's just go back to the health aspect of it all. If you're speaking about self-love and the health aspect of it all, and then you started off the conversation talking about clinical obesity and things of that nature, you got to think about this: who's feeding the next generation? And if you're obese, chances are you're going to have obese children. You're going to have so you're not coming from a place of health. You know what I'm saying? And once you start moving and operating like that, a lot of times what you're trying to do is compensate for the lack of things you feel as though you are. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? And so when I see sisters doing all those things, stepping outside of their natural beauty, instead of going to the gym and things of that nature, going to get BBLs and all types of plastic surgery and alterations. When I see those things, I see somebody that's not invested in natural health, not invested in who they are. That they then do become these avatars. Yeah. Because this character that they look like doesn't represent who they are. And they spend their entire life trying to walk around in that mask. Mm-hmm. And you can't hold that, you can't maintain that. That's something that's impossible to carry on for the long haul. And that's why we have so many people. I mean, you look at it right now, our sisters, professionally speaking, have never been more successful. Mm-hmm. But at this particular time, they've never been more unhappy. They've never been so depressed. So you add all these things up, and what you have, is the sum total of all these things you put together greater than the whole. So one of the things that brothers talk about all the time is we love when a woman looks natural. Now, often we've heard sisters say, well, when I look natural, I'm not getting attention. Ding, 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 attention. So are you seeking attention, or are you trying to, seek a mate? Or are you trying to show some self-love? Because if you're trying to show some self-love, the happiness that you're seeking is an internal journey. You know what I'm saying? You can't get happiness outside of you. You can't find peace outside of you. So when you talk about all those things that people are doing, aesthetic-wise, it's taking them away, further away from, in the opposite direction of where they should be applying their efforts. And for the most part, when a woman is natural, that doesn't mean come outside looking homely. And I think people mistake that. You come out looking homely, in pajamas, and you call that natural. I don't get any attention. Well, are you really trying to get attention in your pajamas in public? When you're wearing bonnets in public, are you really trying to get attention? You know what I'm saying? But natural means taking natural aesthetics. You can apply beauty standards to them. Right. Your own beauty standards, right? But you don't have to go out there with these 6-inch nails. You know what I'm saying? Mop hairstyles and things of that nature. And we already talked about the eyelashes. That's a no-no. I'm just telling you all now, no man on earth likes those eyelashes. So, no straight man anyway. So, when we address when we address the mental health aspect of this particular conversation, we talk about the decompensating that takes place. And this is why you have all these other things. But I think that one of the biggest things we don't really talk about is the fact that as Black people, we run away from African-centered culture.
Yes.
And African-centered culture is what we're spiritually rooted to. And because we live in such chaos and anarchy, and we don't want any rules, we don't want any boundaries, therefore we find ourselves floating out there like a planet without out of orbit. You know what I'm saying? Like if you look at just the celestial plane and the universe, our planet orbits around the sun, surrounded by 7 or 8 other planets doing the same thing in natural order. But you have rogue planets that don't have a sun, don't have a star, and they're just out there, running amok throughout the galaxy. They have no, there's nothing tying them, to orbit or tying them to anything in particular that's routine, something that they can hold on to. Culture is what saves you. Culture is what insulates you from all those different things. It's the standard. Here we go again with that word, standard. Culture is the standard. You know what I'm saying? And because we don't have that standard, too many of us are trying to live up to a standard that's not ours. It's not natural, and that's why we're suffering so much in that area. And that's why so many people can have all those aesthetics that make other people and other cultures happy and still be miserable. Because we're out of line, we're out of order, out of alignment, and no balance, and we have no boundaries to keep us safe. Boundaries ain't always to block you, lock you in. Some boundaries are to keep you safe from those outside influences, those outside things that could hurt you. And I think a lot of us are struggling with that, men and women. And we're talking about the sisters today. We're struggling with coming into that alignment. And when you talk about the beauty standards, when you talk about the fact that, okay, you have some men, you say men, most sisters will say, well, the man is supposed to lead. It's kind of hard to lead a renegade. It's kind of hard to lead a rebel. If somebody's rebelling against you, it's impossible to lead them. You know what I'm saying? So we have to come back to the table and understand if we need to update our cultural standards so that the 2022 version of what we're doing looks like, with us setting a code of conduct, you know what I'm saying, a way to have conversation or a discourse with one another, way to set new standards for each other. If we need to do that, then that needs to take place. But what's happening right now isn't working. And you know what I'm saying? And our community really, on a global scale, is in a real vulnerable position. You know, because globally a realignment is taking place. And other cultures are strengthening their nest. Other cultures are strengthening their boundaries. Other cultures are pulling from within. We can't keep having this situation where we're like, you know, polar opposites. You know what I'm saying?
That's what's happening.
Right.
Yeah. And thank you. Like, I hope that was very clear. It was very clear to me. I have some things to think about myself, and it just seems like that is a big issue. It's like getting attention is more important than giving respect, and there's no balance in that. You know, again, and just, you know, what you said was perfect. I mean, you really pretty much covered everything. The only thing that I would add to that is, within that respect, is the ability to listen. Like truly to listen, and not just listen to hear and respond to, you know, what is being said, but actually listen, take that advice, and understand that, you know, we have our men for a reason. They have a position just like we do. You know, their significance within this culture, within our community, is just as important as ours. We're equal. We are a team, and our mentality has to be that way. Everything has to be that way in order for us to balance things out and to truly become well as a people. Because when we become well, we become stronger, we become better for ourselves, for our children, you know, for our community as a whole. So, sisters, that's something we really got to work on. You know, again, this is not to bash you. When I speak to you all, when I'm sharing, it is always from a space of deep love and never hate, because I'm growing and I'm learning every day, but I am grateful. You know, I'm so thankful and I'm so honored to have a man that I can listen to, that I can receive from, because I won't sit here and say that, you know, every man is worthy of you listening to. No, you have to use discernment on that as well. But you've experienced enough things to know that, hey, this is not the type of man that I need to be dealing with. But also, before you get to that point, sister, use that same discernment not to get to that point with that man. You know, don't stay around because he looks good, because of this, because of that. If there's nothing that you can get from him, you know, what did Jill Scott say? She said, if you can't tell me nothing, you can't tell me nothing. You understand? So I'm not saying be a renegade, because that's a problem. That's a real problem. If you can't listen, that is a problem. But be able to listen when that person is telling you something, when your man is telling you something. Attention, getting attention, sisters, will not take you nearly as far as learning and understanding the value and the importance of being able to respect your man. Choose better. Do better for yourself. Get your wellness in order, physically, mentally, and spiritually. Make sure you're in a proper space before you allow yourself to be in a relationship, you know. Take care of you first. Take care of you first. Just focus on your health. That is so major right now. Focus on your health, because that's just once you are in a better space where women feel better, when we begin to look better, we tend to do better. Our thinking is clearer. You know, we're not stuck in a space where we're functioning from survival. You know, literally, because when you're in that space where everything that you do, you can't listen, you can't, you know, you're argumentative, you know, you want his advice, but you really don't. You want his attention. And you only want his attention. Why? Because you can't respect him. Nothing that he says after the compliment matters. You know, when it's like, well, I need you to start cooking more instead of going out to eat, that doesn't matter. But if he says, I like those lashes, I'm going to stay off the lashes. If he says, I like, you know, that dress, or I like the way that, you know, thing's sitting, or whatever, you know, you like, yeah. But as soon as he says, I need you to do this, it's, you don't tell me what to do. You can't do that. You can't just listen when you're getting that attention and validation. You got to listen through it all, right? It's about being well. It's about being one. So I'm not going to drag on any longer. It's probably went a little longer than either of us intended. Did you have anything that you wanted to say before we ended?
Well, sisters, just understand you're the power. You are the power in our community. Always has been. our community either succeeds or it falls under its demise based on how you yield that power. You've always been the power. You give us, the men, the authority to yield that power. And I'm quoting this directly from a Jegna of mine, Professor James Small, stated this recently on our talk show. You're the power.
And what's that talk show? And what's that network?
So the talk show is Somebody Has to Say It on the IDP Expressions Network. And
also on YouTube.
It's also on YouTube. But it's important for us to understand that as you go, the community goes. It's been our nation, it's been our heritage, our ancestors. You can just go down the list. Every great man, every great black man in history has been given the power to do what he was able to do by the woman. So she would give him the authority to be great. She would give him the authority to push through. She would give him the authority to lead. The power is in your hands, sisters.
Sure. And with that being said, again, thank you so much for taking this time to spend with us. That is your most valuable currency. I hope that you gained something from this discussion. And I hope that not only did you gain something, that you will truly apply it to your life, because we have to be better. We have to be better. Call your power back. Start with getting your health in order, okay? All right. Thank you so much. And until next time, please remember, if you don't remember anything else, nothing, absolutely